SAFEMEDS eMARs solution. We're going to be looking at drug administration. You type in your username and put your password in and log in. Click to the wing or the care home that you wish to administer to, and then click on drug administration. What you'll see here are 4 patients that are due for drug administration. If you look at that tab, it says due for drug administration. I can also look at all the patients in the wing to see whether they need administration or not. As you can see, there's quite a few, but only 4 need administration. On the right hand side you can see Sarah Scarlett. She is in red, which means that she's had a mismed, and we'll deal with that in a second. But first let's administer some drugs. Click on the patient that you want, click drug administration, give the patient the drugs that you want. What you need to do first is obviously you need to get the medication ready, and you press on the sides the green ticks. Once you've administered the medication, you can press proceed. You can accept, and as you can see on this, there are BNF warnings. If I accept, save, what you should see is all the medication has now been given, and on the right hand side you will see accepted. I can now go back, and I'll go back again, and what we find is my mustard is now come off due for administration. The system works very, very simply in that there are only 2 reasons why a patient would come off the due for administration screen. The first is that the drug has been administered, and the second is that the drug hasn't been administered, and a reason's been given as to why it hasn't been administered. So now let's look at Penelope Plum. If I click onto her, again I want to administer medication, and I find there are 3 products that need to be administered. However, unfortunately, for whatever reason, Penelope is not around. But I want to administer anyway. So I've pressed administer later. And let's say, I don't know, she's temporarily unavailable. She's decided to go for a walk in the garden. So we'll try later. If I go back, what you now see is that Penelope Plum, because she hasn't been administered any medication, has come up as orange. She will stay on this screen until you decide what you want to do with this patient. So if we go back into her, let's say this time round she has come back in, and we try to administer the medication again. Unfortunately, she's come back in, she's a bit tired, and she just says, well look, you know what, I don't want it. So we can press reject. Because we've popped the medication out, we can either return them to stock, or in this case, since they popped the medication out, we can dispose of them. We can say that it's refused, and we can submit. Now the medication has been popped out, and we can decide where that medication goes. Let's say it's going to be returned to pharmacy. You can select whichever pharmacy it's going to be. In this case, let's call it Shakespeare, and press OK. What this will now do, obviously, is that the meds have been rejected, but also what it will do is ensure that that stock has now been put onto a waste note, which you'll be able to generate, print, and give to the waste supplier when you give the wasted medication to them. Again, if I go back, we should see Penelope is not there anymore. So Penelope is now come off. And if I show you all, you'll see that Michael, who's there, is now in show all, and so is Penelope. But due for meds, neither of them are there. Now if I go to Sarah Scarlett, press administer medication, what I find is that she's had a mismed, hence she was in red. Now let's say the scenario this time round was that Sarah was hospitalised. So again, we can press that, we can press proceed, we can press reject, and we can say that she was hospitalised, and we didn't give the drug, so we've returned it back to stock. And a note needs to be put in there. We'll put down fall. So now it's submitted. Press proceed. Okay. And go back. Go back again. And again, you see that she has now come off. Finally, Winifred White. Administer medication. And this time round, we are going to, again, not give this med. So we're giving 0 here. Okay. And everything else we can proceed. Now what you've seen there is of the Kera mask, I'm not giving any of that, whereas of the Marlox I am, and of the Gedrol I am. If you look at the right hand side, you see that it's a PRN medication. In this case I'm not giving the PRN. We can accept it all, save. Now if we look at this screen, you can see that we can do various things, but it is the status on the right hand side that's most important, in the sense that it will tell you what's actually happened to the patient. If I go back again and I go back, what we should see is the patients have all now been given their meds, and that's it. We go back and we come out of it, and we always suggest that you do sync before you exit. Synchronization allows the information to be transferred from the app, which sits on your tablet, to the web-based software, and always ensures that the software has all the information up to date at all times. And we can log out. Thank you very much. There we have drug administration.